Hey fellas, I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, 2 Prime Model Works videos in 2 days. Wow. Yeah, because I haven't done a lot of videos lately, but we are moving right along with this Spitfire. And in this exciting episode, I show you how I tackle closing up the wheelbase. It's quite a difficult process. And so I thought, this might be interesting to some people who like to put their planes in flight, just to show you different ways to tackle some of these issues. So let's get on with the video. So let's take a look at the fuselage. Now I've got this, as you can see, I've went ahead and filled in the steps and the gaps that I've had. Took me a little bit, but I got the gap that was along here, and it looks pretty good. The back little door that covers the rear piece of landing gear, it came with plastic covers, but they did not fit right, and it was going to be a lot of trouble just to get those cleaned up. So what I did is I used my Magic Sculpt, my 2-part epoxy, and I created my own door, and I'll let that probably dry or harden up a little bit more today, and then I'll come back and I'll sand this, and I think that will be a lot better solution than trying to use the plastic parts. I took some leftover 2-part epoxy, and I'm going to insert my straw. Let me get it. Oh, sorry. Sorry about the camera fills. But I've got my straw here that's going to receive my rod, and it's going to be a 1/4-inch rod. So I got my Dairy Queen straw. So I just made a little receptacle down there. Now I will glue this in with 5-minute epoxy, and then I'll drill a hole in this back piece, this little section that fits in here. And I should be good to go on that. But what we're tackling now is I want to close up the wings. Now, anybody that tells you that, I had some guy a long time ago claim that the reason I build my planes in flight was because I was too lazy to put the landing gear in. And I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me. Because apparently he doesn't realize all the work that goes into building a plane in flight when it's really not meant to be, and this kit is not meant to be put in flight. Now, first off, the landing gear doors, they didn't fit. So I had to do a lot of filing and sanding just to get those in there, as you see here. And I glued those in, and then I used some sprue goo and stiffened the join, and then I came back with some testers, putty, which I really like to fill in gaps. And I filled in the little tiny gaps that were along here, and then there was a section, I see this a lot in these planes where the landing gear is not meant to be closed up. I filled it in with my Magic Sculpt right here. So I'll still need to do a little bit of work to make those look good, but I think once I get primer on them, they'll be okay. The next step is inserting the wheelbase. Now, I went ahead on the wheelbase and just cut off the part that wasn't needed. There was a part that comes along back here, along here. I just cut that off. It's not going to be needed. It's not going to be seen. It just gets in the way. So that was my first step. And then because the tire is going to be inset, I went ahead and dremeled out the supports that were inside of the wheelbase so the tire can fit in here. Now what I'm basically trying to do is I'm trying to cram a bunch of stuff in here and still make it look right. And the next issue that I ran into, and as you can see, I've already got this one in, and I think it looks pretty good. The next issue that I ran into was this door is really thick, and I don't know if we can get this on the camera, but it's a thick door, like a lot of injection molded pieces. It's just way too thick. So I started off by taking my Dremel tool and grinding that away. And then I had to, and I really didn't want to have to do this, but I think it does look okay. But I had to end up flattening. I took a Dremel and sanded probably maybe a 1/4 of this side off, so it will inset in here a little bit farther. And keep in mind, I've got to put the wing on as well. So all this has got to fit within this tiny space of the wing, and I've got this one perfect. So everything fits, and the tire looks pretty good. Plus, there's going to be a little part of, and it's not going to be much, but a little part of the landing gear strut that shows, as you can see right here. So I have to put that in as well. So I'm cramming all this stuff inside of here, and it takes a lot of work to get that done. So what I've done is I've taken the landing gear, and I'm using the plastic. Obviously, I'm not going to use the white metal. And then I'm just cutting this off. So, and this is really the only part that you're going to see. And you can see there, you can actually see some of it, but you're not going to see the rest of it. And it is going to be a little more difficult to get in there and paint, but I have to do this because I have to put the wings on. And I guess I could have painted this beforehand and then glued it in, but it's, you know, it's just as much trouble to paint it afterwards as it is to do it now. And so anyway, I glued the tire into the back of the wheel bay, got it all in there, glued down, and we're good to go on this. So I'm just going to show you, and we'll do a little montage of how I go about doing this. So got my Dremel tool, and my first step is going to be to thin this out. So I'm just taking my Dremel tool with the little burr, and I'm going to come along here and thin this out. And this makes a big mess. It's always nice to have a toothbrush handy to scrape away all this stuff. Now, you don't want to obviously go through and make it too thin. So once I get it down to where I think I'm pretty good, I'll take an X-Acto blade or a razor blade, and I've got this rounded one here. And I'm going to smooth this out and thin it out a little bit more by hand. Okay, so I've got that thinned out. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to go ahead and grind off about 1/4 of the depth of this tire. Now I'm going to do this outside, but I am going to use my Dremel tool just because this makes a mess and I don't want to be breathing in all this resin dust. So I'm going to go out and grind this away, and then I'll come back in and sand it with a piece of sandpaper, get it all nice and flat, and then we'll check for fit. All right, so there's my tire. I'm just going to take this and kind of see if I can get it a little more even. I'm just rubbing it on my sandpaper. And we'll sit it in here, and looks like I may have to take a little bit more out. Now this is a lot of fitting and double checking and all kinds of stuff because I don't want to take too much out because it'll look weird. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a lot more out actually. because I still need room to put my piece of my landing gear strut in there. So I'm going to go out and grind this away some more, and I'll be right back. Okay, for some reason I had to cut out a little bit more than I did on the other one, but I think it will look okay. I want to get them even as far as depth goes. And let's see. Get it lined up here. All right, I think that's pretty darn close. There we go. I think that'll look okay. Maybe a little bit more from this side. I'm just taking some isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush, trying to get all my little greeblies out. Clear my table of the mess. I'll have to come in and vacuum this out. Alrighty, so now let's get this little part. Now this is going to be just showing. It's not going to be that prominent, but if I don't have it in here, you will be able to notice if you look real closely. So I want to keep this in here. Go ahead and again, I'm just using the bare minimum of what I need to get by. No reason to put stuff in here that's not needed. Hit this with a little bit of kicker. Now what I did with the with this other one, because this will probably extend beyond what I want, and I think this may get in the way, and it does. So with this piece sticking up, I need to sand this down like I did this other one. So I'm just taking a sanding stick and I'm going to sand this down and almost square it off, and then I'll come back with an X-Acto blade and take away some of the squariness of it. And this is going pretty fast because I actually know how to do it because I did it on the other one. But the other one took me probably a little over an hour to get that one wheel done. This one's taking me about a quarter of the time because I actually know what I'm doing this time. So I can show you guys. See how this looks. Okay. All right, that should work. So I'm just going to take an X-Acto blade and see if I can make this a little more round. Not that you're going to really be able to notice. I just want to make sure that there's something in here to represent this landing gear strut. Because if it's not in there and you look in there, it's just going to look really weird. Okay. So let's double check again and see where we're at. Okay. And I think that is going to look pretty good. Okay. So now the next step, let's clean this part off. Isopropyl. Give it a good scrub. Okay, now I'm going to take some glue. Now I want to make sure that my strut is aligned with where it would normally go. So I'm just going to take my super glue and orient this to where it would go through. And I think that's about right. I'm going to add a little bit of super glue back in here. And again, you're not going to see this. Let's hit it with some kicker. All right, let's check. All right. Looks about even with the other one. So now, all I have to do is glue this in. Let's do something else here. Okay, so let's glue this. So I'm just going to take some glue, and I'll be somewhat liberal with it. And obviously I'm not being neat with it, but you don't have to be. Look at that mess in there. Nobody's ever gonna see it. So there we go. And that is our wheels in our wheel bay, and the landing gear is taken care of. Sweet. Now let me double check to make sure this wing goes on. I forgot to do that. Okay. And if not, if there is a little bit, I can always shave this off if I have to, but it looks like it's gonna fit okay. And it does. So we're good to go. And there we go, fellas. That's how I'm taking care of the landing gear bay. It's a lot more difficult than just putting the landing gear down. All right. All right, before I close up these wings, now they do have these little clear parts that go for these lights on the bottom. But instead of using these, I think I'm going to put a piece of plastic card on the inside, and that way I don't have to mask anything. And then once I'm done, I can put some of my Molotov liquid chrome on the plastic card, like so. And then use my UV glue to make the clear part. So I think that's the route I'm going to go with that. Now for the guns they had in the kit, they were plastic and they just didn't look very good. The owner sent me these, I think they're master models. They're turned brass gun barrels, and they look really good. And they'll fit in here just like so, and that's going to look pretty awesome. And then these other pieces, I don't know what they are, but they go in here. So I may have to drill out the holes a little bit more, but I'll take care of that once I get this glued and screwed. Then I'll be able to insert these. And I may actually paint these separately and insert them afterwards. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But those are going to look really nice. So that's all there is for this video. I just wanted to show you how I'm tackling that, because it does take a little bit of effort to tackle the closed wheelbase. And I will get these on. Let me show you how the wings actually look like they're going to fit to the fuselage pretty well. Let me show you how this works. Grab the fuselage. So this will fit in here just like this. And then close it up. Just put a little bit of squeeze on it, and that should look really good. Look at that. That fits really nicely, so I'm really happy with that. Maybe just a little bit of filler in there, but that should work out quite nicely, guys. And I will get these together, and I will see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.